on.
Hi there, I am your host, Chase Monroe.
I know who you are, Chase.
Let's meet our contestant. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Haley. We're friends. What have you done to my kitchen?
Here's how you play more or less. I'll ask you a question or give you a challenge. If you successfully answer the question or complete the challenge, you win a prize. But then, no matter whether you win or lose, it's your job to show contentment.
Contentment?
Contentment is deciding to be okay with what you have.
I know what it means,
Let's play! Name the animal that goes moo. The animal that goes moo.
Cow.
That's correct! You, Haley, win a new pair of shoes!
Oh, wow, really? I've actually been needing a new pair of sneakers thing.
So now you could choose to be content with those shoes.
Oh, I am.
Or you can trade it for what's inside this box.
Well, I do need some new shoes, but that box is really big. Maybe what's in there is better than these shoes. Or maybe I should decide to be okay with what I have? Or maybe
We'll find out what she's chosen right after a story from the Bible where the Apostle Paul tells us the secret to being content.
So wait, I don't get to choose yet.
Stop it.
The Bible isn't just a book of random stories. It's 66 different books that come together to tell one story. An incredible one. About God's love for us. And now for an amazing story. Inspired by the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 11 to 13.
The Bible is filled with words of wisdom that encourage us to love God, love others, love life. Sometimes Jesus told stories to people to help them understand how God's truth would play out in their lives. That's what stories can do for you. The Apostle Paul faced more troubles than you can imagine. Hunger, cold, beatings, prison, shipwreck. And yet in the book of Philippians he says, I have learned to be content no matter what happens to me. I am content whether I have more than enough or not enough. I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength. Let's see how this incredible truth can apply to someone's life today. Zoe groaned and pulled her pillow over her head.
Ugh, 5:30? Seriously?
It was only 2 months ago that Zoe's parents had dropped the news at breakfast.
Your mom was just offered a new job.
Zoe's little sister Talia bounced up and down in her seat.
Are you still gonna work at the house? You can still drive us to school, right?
Zoe had seen her parents exchange a glance.
Actually, the job is in the city.
Zoe had looked out the window at their big backyard perfect for soccer, and their oversized golden retriever, Sherlock. The rambling yard blended into the woods where she and her friends had explored every summer since she could remember. They lived nowhere near the city.
That's like more than an hour away.
Well, the job is a big promotion.
But we don't think it's a good idea for me to spend so much time driving. I wouldn't be around for breakfast or dinner some days.
So you're not gonna take the job?
No, honey, we're going to move into the city.
Like downtown?
Oh, we can go to the zoo every day.
While Talia saw this whole thing as an adventure, Zoe could only see what she was losing. Now here she was, wide awake, long before breakfast.
Ugh.
To make matters worse, the new condo was much smaller than their old farmhouse. And Zoe had to share a room with Talia, who talked in her sleep.
Don't give Mr. Muffles the bacon. It makes him laugh.
A rough tongue licked Zoe's hand, and Sherlock placed his huge paw on Zoe's bed.
Okay.
Zoe had to beg to keep Sherlock, even though their new home was small and 3 floors up. Zoe now had to take Sherlock for a walk twice a day, instead of just opening the door and letting him run around in the yard.
Fine. Not like I'm going to sleep anyhow.
Zoe rolled out of bed and pulled on her sweats in the dark because she couldn't turn on the lights and wake up Talia. When they reached the elevator in the hall, she noticed a sign that was tacked on the door.
Out of service. Great.
After jogging down 3 flights of stairs, Zoe found herself on the already busy street. She shivered in the autumn chill and wrinkled her nose at the diesel fumes. Sometimes she took Sherlock to the dog park down the street, but this morning he happily nosed around the trash can on the small strip of grass between the sidewalk and the street.
How can you be so happy with a patch of weeds after you had a whole big yard at home?
Zoe had turned to see that the cello player was out there once again. The old man wore a dark woolen jacket and a red cap, and she knew he lived just down the hall from them. He sat on a battered folding chair on the sidewalk as the chaos of the morning rush unfolded around him.
How can he even focus out here?
Zoe had seen the man several times before, always playing his heart out. He must have felt her gaze because he looked up and smiled while playing. She tried to turn away, but smiled back instead.
You like it?
I don't know how you play in the middle of all this.
The traffic, the sound, the people. I make it the pulse of my music.
Anton continued playing even as he spoke.
Oh, well, it's beautiful.
Your family is new here?
We moved from Arcadia. It's just a little town, but I knew everyone. I had friends. There was more room.
Yes. I had more room at home too.
Where's home?
Ukraine. When the rebels destroyed my town, we had no home until we came here.
Zoe tried to imagine what it would be like, not just to lose your home, but your entire country.
Wow, weren't you, I don't know, sad and angry?
Anton had finished the song and put down his bow.
Of course. But I could not change what happened, only what I did about it.
Well, you make it very beautiful out here for 6 a.m.
Thank you, young lady. But I do not have much. But this I can share.
I'm glad you do. Oh, that's Sherlock, and I'm Zoe.
It is nice to meet you. I am Anton.
Thank you, Anton.
Anton nodded and picked up his bow again. Zoe corralled Sherlock back into their building. When Zoe went back into her room, Talia was still sleeping.
Shh, Sherlock.
The room was small, but it was actually kind of fun to share with Talia. Several nights they'd stayed up just talking. Zoe had recalled what Anton had said.
I could not change what happened, only what I did about it. That sounds like...
Zoe dug out her phone and did a quick search. Sure enough, she found the Bible verse she memorized at church years ago.
I have learned to be content no matter what happens to me. I know what it's like not to have what I need. I also know what it's like to have more than I need. I have learned the secret of being content no matter what happens. I am content whether I am well fed or hungry. I am content whether I have more than enough or not enough. I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength.
Smiling, Zoe opened the window just a little. She was grateful for the reminder that no matter what happens or where you find yourself, you can always ask for strength and choose to be okay.
And we're back! You know, being content doesn't necessarily come naturally. The Apostle Paul wrote that he had learned to be content no matter what. So if being okay with what you've got doesn't seem to come easy for you, don't worry. You can just learn how to be content just like you can learn how to add or subtract or ride a bicycle. You can learn to be content whether you have a little or whether you got a lot. Whether things are going the way you expect or whether they aren't. But instead of wanting things to be different or wanting more and more, you can learn to be content with the way things are. But the real question is, how can you learn to be content? Well, Paul lets us in on a little secret. Well, not really little. Not really a secret either. He wrote, I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength. Paul can be content because of the strength that comes from knowing Jesus and because of the Holy Spirit living inside of him. Now, if you believe in Jesus, you can have that same strength. And when life doesn't seem okay or you're tempted to want more and more, ask God to help you find a way to be content. The one thing to remember today is this: God can help you be okay no matter what. Which brings us back to you, Haley. Have you decided what's it gonna be? The shoes over here or what's inside the mystery box?
It's a tough one, but I've decided to be okay with the shoes.
She's going with the shoes. Congratulations! You have demonstrated contentment. That's all the time we have. See you next time on More or Less.
Hey, what's inside the box?
I'm not telling.
Well, I just want to see, though.
You gotta be content with not knowing.